All right, Madam Chair, the next item on the agenda
Thank you.
is a request of Carl Gomes to speak to the commission.
Hello, my name is Carl Gomes. I live at 55 West Boylston Drive in Worcester. I'm here on two capacities, as the president of the Indian Lake Community Association and as a resident and a taxpayer. Approximately about 5 years ago, the West Boylston Drive neighborhood was a completely neglected neighborhood. There was overgrowth that had been for over 40 years. There was a barrier wall that had been in existence for over 40 years. It's the wall that, as you come down West Exit 1, which goes into West Boylston Street. It was, if you don't remember, but it was an old iron wall that looked like it was in the middle of a war zone. Our association was responsible for cleaning up the inside of that land and partnering with the Department of Transportation and other organizations to have the wall removed, to rehabilitate all of the land that was there, and ultimately we developed a community garden. And in that community garden, we have incorporated art, music, poetry, workshops, and I'm giving this as a background in terms of I'm here to speak about 149 West Boylston Drive. So our association has been very involved in rehabilitating that neighborhood. Additionally, we were responsible for, if you've noticed over the last couple of years, the Norton Drive embankment now has been maintained. Our association adopted that and formed a partnership with the Department of Transportation that we would take care of the litter and they would clean it up they would take care of it up to the tree line. So that's why it's been taken care of. Additionally, our association has been responsible for partnering with the University of Massachusetts to have them partner with the Parks Department to create plans for the development of a master plan for 149 West Boylston Drive. And they've used, the city has used the information for that, for the planning of the master plan. So the reason I'm here is that 149 West Boylston Drive is a 4.5-acre parcel on the Indian Lake that has been neglected for many years and not maintained. Our association has been at the forefront to drive having a master plan developed for that parcel. Approximately 3 years ago, Representative Mahoney secured a $60,000 or $70,000 grant to have that parcel cleaned up, all the vegetation taken out, so that we could start fresh. It was my understanding back before the work was done that when that work was done, that the Parks Department was going to maintain that parcel at least by cutting at least once a year. It has not been touched in 3 years, and the overgrowth is starting to return to what it was when that took place. I was here in March, and I spoke before the committee here, Mr. Cashman was here, and I said I would like to get a request, get a commitment when the Parks Department is going to honor their commitment to maintain that parcel. And Mr. Cashman told me at that time it wasn't necessary because if the Parks Department made a commitment that it would get done. I sent a letter on September 17th to each one of you and showing the photos of what it looked like as of that date. And asked that this be placed on tonight's agenda to see if we can get a commitment that parcel will be addressed this current season and future seasons until the master plan is fully implemented. I'd also like to follow up is, when is, Mr. Infinelli, I believe that the master plan has not been submitted yet. Is there a timeline when it will be for that parcel? So two things, the maintenance of the parcel until the master plan is implemented, and when is the master plan going to be made to the public?
So to respond through the chair, the city working with our consultants, Beals and Thomas, who is in the end, the designer of the revised master plan for there in cooperation with UMass, the UMass Amherst School, had advised us that mowing of that area was not recommended until the fall season. So that item is scheduled for sometime in the next month and a half or so. Their recommendation was that because of the plants that we planted there, the seed that we had put there, that they wanted it to be done in the fall. So that's the schedule at this point. I do not have a scheduled date as of today, but we look forward to doing something within the next month and a half or 2 months or so. As it relates to 149 master plan, this commission has approved it, and I'll double check, but I'm pretty sure I've already submitted it to council. I think it's sitting in, it may be sitting in subcommittee right now. I'm not positive, but I think it's there right now. So that is not up to me for when the hearing is held. So I think it's there, but I'd have to double check, but I don't know off the top of my head.
I would just like to add that this, the recommendation of UMass, this is the first time that this has been stated. I've had numerous conversations with Mr. Antonelli about this parcel, and that's never been stated, but be that as may, all I'd like to see is that the parcel is going to be cut this year, and that it's going to be cut every year until the master plan is developed. Because it's my understanding that it's going to be several years before any money would be allocated to that parcel. So we'd like it to be maintained so that it does not return to the condition it was prior to the funds that were spent. Now I'm speaking as a taxpayer. If we took $70,000 to take a parcel and to rehabilitate it, why are we going to allow it to go back to that same condition? So I'd like to get a firm commitment that the Parks Department is going to have a commitment to that parcel going forward beyond the cutting that happens this season.
I have a question. What type of commitment are you looking for from the parks?
The original commitment that was made, prior to the work being done is that at a minimum, the word was a minimum, one cutting per year. And in each year, I have tried to ask for that cutting, and I were given different scenarios as to why it didn't take place for the last 3 years. So I'm just asking going forward. I'm glad it's now finally on the radar screen and that it's going to be taken care of this year. But I want a commitment that it's not. I don't have to go through this to have that minimum take place.
One more quick thing. This is more of a comment. I did notice, myself included, I literally live 25 feet from a park myself, so I know how it feels when things go awry near a park or parklands. But I did notice, as you say, as a taxpayer, like I'm a taxpayer, that here on 311, you can now submit any type of issues that you have that you want to be addressed by the Parks Department through 311 on the city's website, just as if you're submitting an abandoned car. So that's just more of an FYI, and then that way you do have, tracking, and you can also communicate directly with the Parks Department, and you can also put it on the city manager's radar as well. And it does give you a receipt that you've submitted your request. And it gives you the request number, just so that you have some type of tracking going forward, and make it a lot easier for you to communicate and go where you need to go, especially when it comes to coming to us as well. Because we don't get your requests directly. It does go to the administration first, and then they do filter it to us as we get closer to our meetings, okay? So I want to just kind of make you aware of that, just because I know you said that you did send it on the 17th, and it's now 11 days later, and I want you to know that it's not like we don't get it. It's just a different process when we get things.
Well,
so when
I
you
was told to submit
way.
it to the Parks Department and that they would make sure that you all got it.
Yes.
That's what I was told to do.
Yeah.
So I followed the
No
instructions that I
problem.
was given.
Yeah, no problem at all. Just so that, going forward, you have that kind of backup, because I know how it can be in the city and not knowing where to go and who to talk to, so.
No, I know where to go. I just want to be clear, what is the commitment, Mr. Antonelli, for that maintenance of that parcel?
So a couple first things. The item that Mr. Gomes sent is included in your packages, and it was directed to you. The request was to come to the commission. It wasn't a request for work, it was to come to the commission. So that's why it's here. That's number one. Number two, when reviewing the site last year, during a drought, or a season where we had a little bit of rain, it didn't need to be cut last year based on the review of our consultants as well. So we did anticipate that we were going to need to cut it this year, and we will have it done this fall. So that will be the case, and we will look at this on a yearly basis and make the educated determination based on our expertise and the work of our consultants to say, yes, we're going to do something this year, or no, we're not going to do something in a particular year. And so we will continue with that practice, no different than any other facility that we operate when it comes to when something needs to be maintained and when it doesn't. So we'll continue down that road.
With all due respect to Mr. Antonelli regarding last year, we spoke several times and he made several commitments. Never has he said that due to the consultant's recommendation that it wasn't going to be done. He, in fact, gave several general dates when it's going to be done. So I'd like to have consistent statements. Thank you.
David Webb, Worcester. I'm just wondering where we can find any of the guidelines or policies you're following here.
Those are reviewed by our staff on a regular basis.
I'm not asking that. I'm asking where I can find them. They should be
They're
public.
not available online or anything like that.
Timelines, procedures, none of this information is available to
no.
the public?
I don't have anything that's written down on that fact.
So with all due respect, the general public is then expected to just take your word on things, because we're not referencing anything here. You're answering all of these questions.
Yeah, I mean, my responsibility is for the Parks Department, yes.
So you speak for the Parks Department as a resource of knowledge and procedure?
I speak as the individual that is responsible for the operations of the department.
Okay, so if I was to want a documentation of how you came to the conclusions you came for a few different things tonight, what is the procedure for that, since you are the resource?
Those are not reports or anything that are readily available.
So you cannot substantiate your decisions?
I can substantiate my decisions.
I would like you to substantiate your decisions.
Based
What is
on
the
the
process?
information that was given to me.
Cool, so we can request that information? Because I think, for example, it would be helpful to see if you told him that you would do one thing, that you would, within set dates or proposed dates, and apparently you also you're claiming to have recommendations not to do what you said you were going to do. If you can provide that, I think we would like it.
You can request that. Madam Chair.
Just to be clear, that was a request for that.
Well, you can put that request in writing, please.
You got it. Where do I mail it?
You can mail it to the City of Worcester Law Department.
Oh, perfect. They already have me on record.
Perfect. Thank you. I appreciate it. Madam Chair, that is the end of this portion of the report. We need to go back to old business. So one of the items in your agenda is the Community Preservation Act.